Sorry, whereabouts?
Always confusing. I am in about an hour south of Montreal
Okay,
in Quebec,
nice.
Canada.
Okay.
And you're coming in from London, is that correct?
Yeah, Northwest London. Yeah.
Nice. So here we are, episode. I don't know what episode it is. Sorry, Sorry, Garlen. But I know it's season 4. And today I have Garlen Lo coming in from his beautiful home in London. And we are going to talk about his pretty impressive journey thus far. Um, but there's much more to come, I'm sure, which we'll hear about that at the end. So, Garland, thanks so much for hopping on here and joining us for a chit chat.
Yeah, no, pleasure. Pleasure to be here.
So, Garland, my first questions are always like, can you recollect some memories from when you were a kid where music kind of like slapped you in the head and was like, hey, this is cool. I like this. Like, do you have some early recollections of those experiences?
Yeah, well, I grew up in a very musical household. So I grew up with my auntie and uncle, and they had 3 children who are all older than me, and their 3 children, my cousins,
Yep.
had their partners also living in the same house together. So there was a lot of people
Well,
in this house. So
okay.
and everybody liked music. Um, so my auntie loved country music.
Hmm.
So I heard a lot of that, and especially when on drunken nights, there were a lot of drunken nights. Not with me, I was a kid,
Right.
but there were a lot of drunken nights amongst the adults,
Right.
and country music would be played a lot. That's
Nice.
my memory of my auntie. In terms of my cousins, they all had like various tastes and their partners. So there would be rap,
Okay.
dance, 60s stuff, and you asked me like if there was one sort of moment
Yeah.
that I really got into music. It would be there were 2 moments I'd say. It
Hmm.
was first Oasis.
Mm.
So yeah, so in the 90s, Oasis, you had the whole Oasis Blur Britpop thing going on, and that just like took over like the culture of the UK. And I was prime age to be taken over for that culture. I was like about 14 when the whole Blur Oasis rivalry
Right. Their target
resumed.
audience, really, right? Get those
Exactly,
teenagers
yeah.
young, get them coming to shows.
Yeah.
Right on.
So that really got me into me because even though there was already a lot of music in the house, I
Right.
wasn't really taken to any of the music that was being played to me much.
Right. Right.
And it was only for Oasis that everybody in the house disliked. That I got into it. So maybe it was my way of rebelling against what they liked and kind of finding my own thing.
Right. Right.
And
What was
then
it about Oasis that resonated with you? Like what was it that spoke to you so much?
yeah. It's a great question. Well, firstly, I would say the songs.
Hmm.
Uh, Great songs, great
Right.
melodies.
Right.
Um, and so Noel Gallagher as a songwriter was my first musical hero.
Mm.
Um, and then so aside from the great songwriting, there was that whole image and
Mm.
everything that the Gallagher brothers brought to being a rock and
Right.
roll star.
Yeah.
So it had that swagger, that confidence, that rock and roll basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was drawn to sort of Noel's songwriting and Liam's presence.
Okay.
And I think if you spoke to every Oasis fan, that would be the two. That's what the magic of that band was.
Right. And did you, because it influenced you so much, do you find that you carried that into when you started writing your own songs of the personality and the melody and all those things that kind of inspired you from them? Did you try to incorporate those into what you wanted to do as well?
Yeah. So when I first started songwriting, they were all the songs were just basically copying Oasis songs. Naturally, that's what you like, so you just kind of end up mocking, like copying that.
Right.
So a lot of kind of sort of very Liam Gallagher-esque sort of lines where you would draw out a sound. So
Okay.
a lot like a typical thing that he might say would be like world. So you draw out this word, and so a lot of my those early songs that I wrote were long drawn out words.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, so the melody of Noel Gallagher, which comes naturally to him, and he was influenced by the Beatles,
Right.
and
Right. Right.
that was kind of my second sort of into music
Right.
or
I read
discovering.
Revolver was a big one for you. Like that was the
Yeah,
first Beatles that was like, wow, like what's going on here? Yeah.
and that the stuff so that well, that's my second way I got into music was Revolver. So first
Okay.
it was this Oasis, and then two was Revolver. It was because my cousin's boyfriend partner
Yep.
had a massive vinyl collection, and so I just kind of flick through things, and there was this band called the Beatles, and I was like, remember, oh yeah, Oasis mentioned the Beatles. I think they like the Beatles. What's this? What's this Beatles band? And the cover was just a brilliant cover, so that just stuck out.
Yep.
So I would, when the adults were working out of the house, I would just put on his record. He didn't like allow me to touch his vinyl, but when he was out of the house, no one knew. So,
How would he
so
ever
I
know?
grabbed his record, put it on the thing, and
Right.
I have a funny. I'm going to tell you a silly story,
Yeah.
and it's the first time I think I've ever told anybody this story. I've been meaning to say it to him. So this is my cousin's boyfriend, and I've never, anyway. I'll be as quick as possible.
Yep.
So he came back one day and said, "Have you been touching my record player?" I was like, "No." I was like, "I had." Because he said, because the needle's broken. And I was like, oh shit. Like, oh no, 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 no. Basically I just lied. I just blatantly just lied to him. I didn't, and what I'd been doing was I've been playing Revolver just non-stop. And I'm like 41 years old now, and I still I haven't had the guts to tell him. So this is the first time I've told anyone. And so we'll see if he watches this and see what his reaction will be. But anyway, yeah. So playing Revolver just on a loop was my second big sort of discovery of music,
Right.
and then through that it was basically everyone from like the Kinks to the Stones and anyone who played guitar.
Right, right. And like how did music like fit into your history? Because I know that you're a vlogger as well. Like you have this great modern grand tour YouTube site where you travel around, or you traveled around over 3 months and recorded all this stuff and put it out over a few years. Where is that timeline fit? Like when did you start actually getting serious about writing music and less doing the vlogging? Like what was was it a transition into, or can you fill in some blanks?
Yeah. So the music was, in terms of like music versus vlogging, the music was definitely came way before the whole vlogging thing.
Okay.
Musically, discovered Oasis in my teens, and then wanted to be in a band.
Right.
And then it wasn't until I was about 21 that I joined a band. And then I was in that band for a very short time. And then once I left that band, I decided to form my own band.
Right.
And then I met a bassist, and then we then auditioned loads of time, like it seemed forever for the
Hmm.
right chemistry to find a bassist, sorry, a drummer and the
Right.
lead guitarist. And then
Wow.
once we got that together, so by this time I'm now like 20, let's say 24. Um, and yeah, so and that was a great memory to like being young and being in a band. It's just a brilliant
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And then
How long did that, Garland, how long did you guys stay together? Like you said that it didn't survive that long after
yeah,
kind of going through all these auditions and stuff. What was the demise?
yeah, we just imploded, like
Okay.
like bands do
Hmm.
basically.
Yep.
We were together for about a year and a half,
Hmm.
and towards the end, we were all kind of slightly going separate directions.
Hmm.
I know for me, I wanted to do more traveling.
Right.
And I wanted to go, and when I travel, I like to travel for sort of long periods. So it was like, okay, I need to take a break from the band. And then for the other members, that one particular member of the band had a personal issue, which meant that once he left, so he was the first to leave, it meant that we'd have to audition for another
Right.
guitarist.
Right. Right.
And I thought, oh man, we've been through the pain of already auditioning for a guitarist. And so when he left, it felt like like a big blow. And
Hmm.
we did think about staying together as a three. But then I was planning to leave anyway. So I thought, let's see, well, let's just have a break. And then by the time I came back, it was just everyone had moved on.
Okay.
So it was a real, and it's like if I think back upon my 40 years of life, it is
Yeah.
one of my biggest regrets of not
Hmm.
actually continuing that, because I felt towards the end we got to a point where we were pretty hot, we were pretty good.
Cool.
Um,
Cool. What
So
was
yeah,
your style? Like, what was that style, that first band that
we
you're talking
were
about?
like, so it was around the time Vampire Weekend were breaking out, I think.
Okay.
So we had that jangly indie pop sound. So
Fun.
I was the I was the main songwriter for that band. So we
Mhm.
can you can still hear that all the indie pop stuff that I do now.
Right.
But I would say the difference between my that band and what I do now is we because the other three guys were just brilliant technicians. They were brilliant
Mm.
musicians,
Right.
way better than I am as a musician. And
Mm.
so I could so my songs would just excel to the maximum level of quality.
Mm.
Whereas I feel with my own stuff, I'm doing what I can to make it decent. But I know that if I had like a better guitarist or a better keyboardist or a drummer, there could be
Right.
another level. So
Right.
yeah, so it's a shame. And I did think about there's like a few songs that we have on our laptop that I did think, oh, maybe we should just put them out and see what people
Mm.
think.
Mm.
But yeah, so that is one of my
What
regrets.
can you share what the name of that first band was called? Like what?
Yeah, so we started off being called the Robot Pirate Dinosaurs.
Wow.
So I don't think there's much on the internet, but because and then we changed our name to the
Okay.
Secret History. So Chris, you can go and do some digging up and see what you can find. I
I
think there might be
definitely
some
will.
sort of older YouTube, maybe like one or two things on YouTube. I'm not sure. I've not
Cool.
checked it, but see what you can find. Yeah. In fact, if you
Yeah.
like, I can send you one of my sort of
Well,
one of
I'd
the
love that.
songs,
Garland,
and
that'd be
then you
so
can just
sweet of you,
be
man.
have a listen.
Yeah, I'd love to. I love looking at histories of and the shifting of music and your process as a
Mm.
songwriter. Could we like what's your process to come up with songs and has it changed over time? Like how do you get from an idea to a song?
How do I get from an idea to a song? For me, for me, I feel songwriting comes very easily to me. It's
Hmm.
the of all the different aspects of music, it's my strength, and it's the thing I enjoy the most. And I would
Right.
happily just be a songwriter and
Hmm.
give the raw basic music, the song to other better musicians and let them perform and do whatever they want to do with it.
Right. Right. Right.
But to answer your question, how do I come up with a song? I might just be watching the TV and I have a like I have a guitar in hand, just like twiddling away, not really focusing on anything particular.
Yep.
And then I'll be like, "Oh, what's that? That's a little hooky." And then I'll have to stop the TV and I'll get the phone out to record. And then I might come back to it later in the week and work on it. And might take several months before I get to finish it.
Okay.
Or if I'm really keen on the song and I've
Yeah.
got the time in the day, I'll just
Yeah.
work on it right there and then and just
Okay.
finish it off.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
yeah, a lot of the time musicians say it wrote itself in 20 minutes, and
Right.
that's when they knew it was good. So sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes they're really quick, and
Right.
other
But
times, a lot of the time, in fact, I will just record something and it will just sit on my phone for absolutely ages.
well,
Um,
well,
yeah, which
yeah,
is a
because I read that you have 179 songs. Now, maybe that's changed. That was what I was reading that you had, and you have about 7 or 8 singles that you've put out. Is that
mm,
accurate?
yeah. So now I think it's about like 180 something, and yeah, eight singles so far. Yeah.
Right, right. And like how do you know like when a song when you're onto something? Like what reveals itself in the song that you say, okay, I'm this is worth like saving it or like building on or okay, I'm going to take
Yeah.
the afternoon to write this out. Like what is it about your songwriting that sparks inside you when you know you're onto something?
Yeah, a little hook. It's just all it takes is just one hook, and
Okay.
I go that's nice, that's interesting,
Hmm.
that's memorable,
Right.
and yeah, that's it really.
Interesting.
If it's hooky, it's it. And there'll be loads of times where I'm twiddling away, and nothing comes out.
Hmm.
So I have those times too, loads of those
Sure.
experiences,
Sure.
and then suddenly you go this golden moment where you go, oh, that's really nice. Yeah, make sure, and then sometimes what I've done in the past is you go, oh, that's really nice. I'll remember that. And then you do something else. And you come back and go, oh, what was it? Oh, I've lost it.
Right,
And then you feel like, oh, damn. So yeah.
right. And so you're saying that you're noodling and playing around with the
Mm,
a couple of chords will inspire. Where do your lyrics come in? Because I noticed that they are very storyteller like, right? They're almost third person all the time where you're observing
mm,
kind of from an outside perspective.
mm.
What what informs your song the actual songwriting lyric wise? Like, is it daily things that happen, experiences that you've had? Like, where do you draw your lyrics and your stories from?
Yeah, well, I think over the time of my songwriting, it's changed. So
Yeah,
as a younger person, when I first started songwriting, it would be made up stuff because I didn't really have many experiences to actually put into
right.
song.
Mm,
And funny enough, when I remember, if you asked me this question when I was 17, let's say, I would have told you lyrics aren't important.
mm,
It's all I would have said. Melody is the most important thing, and I could sing
right.
absolute gobbledygook, and the key thing is melody. But
Okay.
now I would say they're both important. I would
Mm,
still say melody is still king for
mm,
me, but lyrics wise, that's another way for the listener to get into the song. So I feel that if the melody doesn't grab you instantly, there might be a lyric in there which makes its way into your brain, and
right.
then you can appreciate the song more,
Right. Right.
or another way to appreciate the song. So
Yeah.
yeah, to answer your question, it's from so as an older person, my own experiences. Yeah, my own
Right.
experiences.
Right. And do you tend to revolve around similar themes, or do you want them to be always very individual, always very like um an individual theme that you're putting into the song?
Can you say that question again?
Well, when you're writing them, like what kinds of themes do you tend to dabble in that
Right.
you
Oh, okay. Yeah. 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 So my, I would, my 8 songs I've produced so far, they
Yep.
all have, apart from the first one, I would say, the theme is love. And the theme is nostalgic love.
Hmm,
And that comes from my time right now of
yep.
being a single guy and
Okay.
wanting love, and
Right.
thinking about old loves. So I
Right.
think if you take away Captain Elon, my first song,
Yeah.
they're all very strongly about love.
Okay.
And when I find my partner, suddenly there will be really happy songs about love. So I think the last 7 songs they're hopeful songs about love.
Cool. Yeah. I enjoyed your videos too. I mean, they're very like DIY for sure, but they have this charm to them. And I think that it's your like you built all those videos, right? Like
Yeah. I made them all myself. Yeah, yeah.
right, right. And like what inspires your video creation? Because I know, like I mentioned before, that you had a vlog where you have tons of these really cool travel videos that you made. Um, what's the difference between kind of doing that where you're kind of reporting on the history of something to creating a video around a theme of love, for
Yeah.
example?
Well, I suppose the difference in terms of like vlogging and when I'm making my music video, is I can be much more creative in
Hmm,
my music video because there's I can do anything I want.
right,
Whereas a vlog has a certain format, and you're wanting to also because my ones are quite my vlogs are quite educational.
right,
Um, I'm sticking to there's a script and it feels
okay,
like a much more formal process.
right. It's
With the
interesting.
with the music videos, I can just let loose and do whatever I want.
Right, right.
So they're quite different. Like so, the last one is this kind of weird animation thing, and I've
Yeah,
had a Lego one, and I've had ones where I'm in it in a park, and it feels like a vlogging style one.
that's it.
The DIY one where I'm in my house in my flat. I think the one thing I would say about I think they're quite, I would say about my music videos, they're quite creative. And the
Yeah.
reason they're creative is because I've got no budget.
Right, right,
So
right.
I've had to like think outside the box and go,
Yeah,
what can I do with no budget and basically no crew to help me out? I've
right.
just got one camera and a tripod and me. There were a couple of times where I did manage to, so I think on Lover's Lover and London Tell Me Why, I
Okay,
had friends, one friend helping me each time. But yeah, I think on all the other
that's pretty
times it
cool.
was just literally me
Yeah,
trying to work it
yeah.
work it out.
Well, Pretty Baby, that's the one your animation one, which I just find
Mm,
so
mm.
charming. That must have taken forever too, though, like
Uh,
to snip it together like that. It's like those aren't small. There's so many photos in there.
mm. So actually, no,
Okay,
it didn't
explain.
take forever. No, I tell you the
Right?
one that took forever.
Yeah.
Steve Rogers, the one with the Lego.
Right. Right.
So I can
That's
tell you, I'll
impressive.
quickly tell you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
so Steve Rogers took forever because
Okay.
I had to get, or I had to buy all the Lego, and I had to buy the
Right.
right Lego.
Right.
And then it was me trying, I set it all up, and it was just me holding the camera but trying to move the Lego at the same time.
Wow.
And it was just like, and sometimes because I'm just not strong enough, and like I'm holding the camera for ages, and I'm holding the Lego for ages, and my arms just wanting to die. And
Wow.
that took a long time, and that
All
I,
right.
that's but that was worth it. It was the best bit, my best video.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, it's really entertaining. I mean, they're all entertaining, and like what's exciting is that you don't know what you're gonna do. You know, like the video starts and you're like, okay, what's he gonna do now?
hmm,
It's like they're very, very creative, and everyone is its own kind of little capsule into in time for you. Um and you mentioned before that you would rather just the write songs and then have somebody else perform them.
hmm.
What have you played like your stuff live yet in front of people at a show or anything like that? Has that
Uh,
happened?
no, I've not in the last 2 years as a solo artist. I've not ever played live.
Okay.
I tried to form a band last year. I just found that quite hassling.
Yeah.
Because again, for me, it's I want to. It has to be the right sort of chemistry. If I'm going to be hanging around with these people,
Yeah.
I want us to get on, and that's really really important
Sure.
to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so I thought trying to form a band that didn't quite work out. And then I thought it might just be easier just to do it alone. I know I'd love to be able to go. The dream would be to get the old band back together. Like
Right.
they say, let's get the band back together.
Right. Right.
Uh,
That'd be
yeah,
well,
but
I'm excited to hear this track that you're going to send me for sure. And if it blows my mind, you know I'm going to start hassling you, Garland. Like get the band together. Come on.
we did. Do you know what? We had for so yeah, we all went our separate ways. We all live in different parts of the country, but we
Yep.
actually had a Zoom call. There were the three
Oh,
of
fun.
us. There was
Cool.
so four in the band, but the three of us had a Zoom call about a few months ago in the summer,
Yep. Yep.
and we did talk about it, and it was I think I I wanted I wanted our guitarist to
Right.
back, and I said to him it wouldn't feel right without our guitarist.
Right.
And
Right.
so if we can get our guitarist back in, I would travel the distance, the miles to get that band
Right.
together.
Right.
But
Right.
it's just getting him on
Right.
board. So
Yes. Well, I mean, there's lots of time still.
yeah,
Who knows? You
who
know, these
knows? Who
things,
knows?
it's interesting that you mentioned that too, because I've been kind of thinking about why bands have kind of disappeared almost in a sense. Like, sure, reunion bands, Oasis coming back big, and like that still exists, like these resurgence of, but there seems to be like if you look at billboards and like the charts, it tends to be a lot of individuals and very few bands. Do you think it has to do with that, just that relationship problem that happens in bands? Like if you don't love each other or aren't friends, it really can start to affect what you're trying to what your purpose is.
Mm. Um, well, I suppose there's been bands all throughout. Well, since when bands formed to up to maybe like now, where there's not many bands.
Right.
So the question would be, why now?
Yeah. What do you
So
think? What is your feel about that?
yeah, the question to why now, this moment in time,
Mm,
um, I don't know. Maybe it's just a shift in
mm,
musical taste.
yeah.
So every period goes through a period, and maybe this period is more like a singer-songwriter kind of style, as opposed to heavy guitar rock sounds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe in a few years' time, the next kind of musical wave will be that heavy rock sound, and bands will make a resurgence.
That's it.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I've never really,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I,
Yeah.
I I think too, like the pandemic still is kind of like we're still
Hmm.
feeling that aftershock where people had to go back into their bedrooms and record their stuff, and
Hmm.
would put it out via Bandcamp or on YouTube, or they'd find social platforms to put it. So you couldn't really be in a band, right? For two
Yeah.
years or so.
Yeah.
Like it just was impossible for it. And that's kind of like carried through where it's now just, our biggest stars now are not bands. There's no big U2s or, the Who or the
Mm.
Beatles or um we have like very like singer-songwriters, like what
Mm.
what, what you were saying. I just find that kind of interesting that what are all the factors that contributed to that kind of shift in our landscape of
Well,
music?
that's a really good point, and
Mm,
it's not something I thought of before. But it's such a good point because that's how I kind of started.
mm,
There was
right.
this time, there was COVID period, and I had loads of time, so I could go on my laptop and finish these half baked
Right.
songs.
Right.
And I'm sure there must be so many other musicians like me who basically
Yeah.
went the same route.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super interesting. I like these reflections that we're having here, Garland. So as we kind of bring things to a close here, what can we look forward to from Garlen Lo? What's coming down the pipe? I mean, your latest single is great. Are you assembling or amassing an EP or a record? Are you going to hit the road? Are you going to do a show? Can
Mm.
you tell us anything about the future for what's looks the rest of 2024 into 2025 for you?
Yeah. 2024 now musically is done for me, and I think
Yep.
the format so far, the formula I've stuck to is 4 singles a year.
Oh, okay.
So I've done eight now.
Right.
So there'll be another 4 coming next year. And 3 have already been recorded. So
Oh,
I'm happy with, and they're yeah, I kind of impressed myself really with the new 3, if I can
okay.
say so myself.
Right on.
Because I've tried to kind of push the boundaries of what I can do a little bit more. So I would say
Mm,
the ones that you've heard previously, I've kind of been very safe, especially the like Pretty Babies, like a song I wrote when I was 17. So
okay.
it's a very safe song. It's kind of what I do.
Right.
Whereas
Right.
the next 3, they're a little bit more. I've pushed myself a bit more in terms of musically and production wise. So
Awesome.
yeah, you've got that to look forward to.
Amazing. Amazing. So we have 4 singles that are surely dropping in 2025.
Yeah, well, 3. Yeah, so 3 have definitely they've been made. They're already to be pushed out. I just need to make the music videos, and
Right.
then the fourth one will be recorded once I find the time to. But yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, Garland, this has been a really fun chat. I love your enthusiasm and your thoughtfulness. I really enjoying your singles as well. Keep it up. I love this kind of concept you have of launching singles and they're all numbered and you have your own videos that go along with it. The aesthetic is really cool. And your
Nice.
storytelling's great. I mean, you're such a great writer. So please continue doing it. And I look forward to seeing what's next. I'm excited to hear this single from your band, your old band, and
Oh yeah.
your next singles that come down the road. And if ever you want to hop back on and share more stuff, hey, I'd love to have you back.
Oh, brilliant. I've enjoyed every second of this as well, Chris. So thanks so much. I'm really like so pleased just to be like doing stuff like this.
Yeah,
This is part of
yeah.
my own musical journey. So yeah,
Right
really
on.
honored. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Cheers, man.
Okay, nice one. Cheers, Chris.
Thanks, Garland.